Hello folks, my name is Jim Worthen. The show is Worthen One. Our guests today are going to be talking about a wonderful group, both spiritually and politically, Turning Point. But before that, we got to get to know them. The show will be playing at 7 o'clock Friday night, and then check the schedule in TVSB, and it'll be played off and on during the week. Besides that, though, the two platforms that are important, because this show is, we're talking to people in Santa Barbara, but this show is about people at least all over California, if not the country. And so, check TVSB, and if you want to send the show to somebody, you can go to the demand button and go all the way down to Worthen. They say it's because of W in my name, but I think it's because they don't like me. And and the show will be playing there for at least a few weeks, and you can just forward it. There's no copyright. You don't have to get permission. Please spread the word. It's also on YouTube, Worthen One. Last time I checked, there were 10 shows, and this will be the most recent one. And I said, 10 shows? And they said, yeah, they roll off. There's probably 200 shows there, as long as you've been on YouTube. The Turning Point is some of you know it as a organization, I think created, but they'll tell me, by Charlie Kirk, and a brilliant young Republican, conservative Christian activist. Let's start with the lady. You are a lady.
I am.
Karen Avalon. Did I do it right?
You did.
I have such a hard time with Worthen that I screw up everybody else's. And Bob Kirkpatrick.
Kingston.
Oh, Kingston. How did I get to
I don't know where you came
I know a Bob Kirkpatrick, and it just came out.
I told you Kingston Trio. That's how you remember it.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't ask
No,
me.
I was a Limelighter fan.
Don't ask me to sing.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in society, family, and you only get 30 seconds to brag on each child, and how you got involved in this political, religious quagmire.
Well, it started with a meeting that Bob and I had with several other people, and we were introduced to TPUSA and what they're doing to protect future generations. And very unfortunate what's happening in the public education system, and I think a lot of us thank God for Charlie, and he's doing some very good work out there, and he's making a big difference in the world, and God bless him. And so it started with that one meeting, and I wanted to be involved. I have 5 children, 7 grandchildren, and of course, very invested in the future of their lives.
You have your first child at 12? How could you have grandchildren?
Oh, God bless you, Jim.
I knew he was going to pick up on it.
This comes from a man who has 3 great grandchildren.
Yeah, and they're so precious. They need to be protected. And so I want to thank Christy Lozano, because Christy, she created the awareness in a big way when she uncovered what was happening in the schools in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And so we've worked with Christy. We've done some events together, and we're looking to do a big event actually, and have Charlie be the guest speaker, the main guest speaker, and then Rob McCoy.
Say that for later.
Okay.
But, is that your first involvement and exposure to this?
Yes.
You weren't involved in politics or
No, not yet.
How about, were you heavily involved in the church, or?
I am a minister. I've been a minister, church minister since 2009.
I think I've heard one of your sermons, but go ahead.
Well, it's very important to have God involved in the public education system. And so I reached out to Hillsdale College and connected them with TPUSA, with our local rep here, which is Wade Brox. It used to be Justin. And they are going to be working together very closely. So the curriculum, the Hillsdale curriculum, will be introduced into the colleges and the high schools and the junior highs.
Hillsdale, for the audience, is a college that you can get their courses online, but their calling card is they take no money from the government. They go so far as if you want to go there as a student and you have a grant from the government, they'll pay it off.
Yeah.
They will not take it, the money, and they want no allegiance to a government. So did you know about Hillsdale before this?
And I thought it was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And so made the connection, and of course it's all about Christ. I mean, it's Christian based, and that I think is going to provide these children with the foundation they need, you know, to get through life. And
now, we're going to come back to how we get that into the schools, because at least at the elementary and high school level, we assume the schools are anti-church, but the League of Christian Athletes has no problem with holding weekly meetings with athletes. So it's having the right message. And now, Bob, how did you get involved?
Well, I've always liked kids. I adopted a couple boys, so I had a love for children. And when I was president of Rotary and Carpentry in 2015, I started a program called Gift of Hope, where we recruited and got mentors for kids that were struggling. And the more that I did that and saw, I realized it was a lot bigger problem than one kid at a time. And although my recent mentor just graduated from high school, 3.6 grade point average, Citizenship of the Year award, and he won a Rotary writing contest, and he and his mother got to go to New York for 5 days on Rotary. Pretty cool.
He and his mother
got to go. She works 7 days a week, doesn't speak any English, and now he's just killing it, and it's a wonderful. Anyway, I fell in love with kids, and then one quick story. My mother started they were Republicans and pretty active in the community. In 2067, my dad was president of Picket Slide Rule, and the calculator came out, and he was out of work. So she started the first school for pregnant high school girls in the country, and she taught these girls all about citizenship and how to vote and all that stuff, and it was amazing. And I'm a storyteller. A real quick story. I was on the radio a year and a half ago promoting my mentor program for kids, and this old customer of mine called me and he said, "Bob, I want to be a mentor." And I knew him from work, and I said, "That's great." He said, "My mother had a mentor." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Was it big brothers, big sisters? What was it with?" And he said, "Some woman had a program, and her name started with B." I said, "Was it Betty Kingston?" It was. His mother was in my mother's first graduating class, and he was in her womb when she was through that story. So God works in strange ways.
Amazing. Someone that reached out for you. Your mother had mentored his mother when she was a pregnant young girl.
And he was in the womb. So it's a small world. Anyway, I just real quickly, I was mentoring kids and seeing they were struggling, then I realized the issue was a lot bigger. I got real familiar with what they were teaching them in school and realized we had a bigger problem. And at that time I went to see Charlie Kirk at UCSB. I think we went together as a guest of Christy Lozano. And I watched him interact, and I fell in love with him.
3,000 people.
The way he handles himself, it just warmed my heart. And I said, man, I want to be with this. This is the guy I want to be with. Because at my age, I decided it was time to do something to make the world a little better place versus just worrying about my money and my little life. And I fell in love with this, and Turning Point has been a big part of that. And they have now made me in charge of Santa Barbara County for getting their their program in all the high schools.
Yeah. The story of the womb, there's a great story in the Bible where Mary comes to visit her cousin, and the baby in the womb jumps, and it was John the Baptist in the womb.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so that kind of denies that they're just pieces of flesh that don't have a soul, but mothers who have no husband, single mothers that you're talking about, need the kind of support and the kind of acknowledgement that the child has a soul.
Oh, she taught him. It was unbelievable. My mother, one other quick story, she was from that generation. My dad had lost his job, so she was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. And these kids they're broke all the time because they go up to Jack in the Box every day. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a business guy. He came in and taught them business and how to budget. But when she told them, you girls are spending more in 3 days than Mrs. Kingston spends in a month.
Yeah.
So you can do a little better, and we're going to teach you how to do that. Pretty cool.
I hate to spin off of your stories with my stories. My mother used to make carrot sandwiches when I was in elementary school, ground up carrot and mayonnaise. And when I asked for the third sandwich each day, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm selling them."
I thought I knew where that was going.
So, your mother, what was your father doing when your mother was mentoring?
He started a business, consultant business, and he was very successful, but he was always involved in the community and doing stuff. And they were great role models in that way. And it just warmed my heart, though. I came home from college, and my mother was doing this thing, and I'd go up and see what was she doing. And a quick story on that, I was reaching out with Turning Point to go to the YMCA, to get chapters in the YMCA's,
Yeah.
Young Men Christian Association. And they had a government program. And so we were starting, and they knew my mother and stuff, so I think I'm going to get all the chapters of YMCA's all over to have the clubhouse, have the Turning Point meetings and programs in their schools.
Yeah, the YMCA in Carpinteria was very locally active. It wasn't like on Hope Avenue where there's a gym and people go to it.
No, she started the one in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
On Hitchcock. Yeah, and that's where I went and met the people. They have a children in government program, and Turning Point is going to be a real plus for them. And I think we get chapters all over California. So anyway, I love at my age, I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it.
So, is Turning Point accepted in a small group? Can they have a club in a high school? Can they have a club in an elementary?
They can't. The high schools can't
Chapters.
tell them no. If you get three kids who want to be in, they can't deny you having a club.
Doesn't have to be 100 or 10.
No, they have to have 3 kids that are ready to go, and they can get a set aside time where the kids can come.
There's some guys said if 2 gather in my name, so
That's
you notice how I slipped the Bible and Christ into everything. I'm sorry.
No, that
Forgive
was
me, Lord.
beautiful.
What do you mean?
That's exactly, and it grows because of popularity. These kids have been isolated with COVID and all this stuff. Here's that people having fun and learning about the country and thinking positively. And the one thing that I tell people, we're a country under God. In God we trust, and it says that on every dollar bill. So that's a big part of our country and who we are. That's a good way to drive that point home.
you mentioned Christian. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I love her stories of coaching soccer at San Marcos, where half the team were almost gang members, Hispanics, and the other half were surfer guys, and how she taught them teamwork and brought them together. And I love that story.
She was a tremendous coach. She was an ex-military gal, and she's a dynamo.
Yeah.
And she would have loved to have been there today, but she said we'll get her. We talked. Maybe we'll get her back on sometime.
Well, her story's not over.
No, it's not over at
There's
all.
a purpose ahead for her, and
Yeah.
yeah, I really love her work. And I've been at a couple of events where her parents came up, and I had the pleasure of sitting, eating tri-tip and beans and stuff with her mom and dad. So you came to Turning Point. What called you to it? Where did you?
The first thing was going to UCSB and seeing Charlie Kirk.
Ah,
I love that, and I said, I want to get involved with this group.
you mentioned that. Okay, so
he
that was
just-
it.
And anybody wants to check Turning Point USA, you can watch he's got shows on all the time, and you'll fall in love with what he's doing. And he's not confrontational, and he knows his history, and he's just a beautiful man, and he's done a lot of good stuff.
He have a local radio? No, it's a nationwide radio show, but he's on at 6:30.
6:30 on 990, whatever that.
Yeah, 990. Yeah,
Yeah, he's on every night for a while.
yeah.
And you can go Rumble. He has his own thing on Rumble. There's Charlie Kirk. And some nights I'm getting in bed and I just turn on watch him handle 3 or 4 students, and it kind of, you just go, oh man, this guy has a talent.
Well, he is so bright, and he is so broad in what he talks about. As a politician, I loved him explaining how his group, Turning Point, but the youth movement in Virginia turned that state for Trump. And
He had his group was very instrumental in having Trump get as much of the actual vote as he did.
yeah, he I think thought Trump was a miracle before the bullet grazed
Turning Point just had their big annual thing down in Arizona last week.
Right.
Trump was there. The speakers was Ben Carson, everybody,
Yeah.
and he's just killing it.
I remember on Fox seeing behind the speakers, Turning Point USA. It's nice background. How did you come to Turning Point? Through Christy, or?
It was really through that event at UCSB, and I was so impressed with Charlie as a person and the way he dealt with there were some students that were planted to try and trigger Charlie, and impossible, wasn't going to happen.
No, he's
He did not react to any of the questions, to any of those students. He responded beautifully, very professional. Yeah.
Yeah, and they always respected it, but he made a mark on all of them. They just couldn't deny how much.
Yeah, they gave up
I say
eventually.
3,000 people. Did either of you go to the pre-meeting? Then we won't tell my story. I heard Charlie speak there, but as I was getting the buffet food, there was a step down, and it was before I had my new hip. I hooked my ankle. Food went everywhere. I went down. People were in a panic, and he hadn't come on yet. I stayed till he came on, and then I drove out to UCSB, and I couldn't find a garage that was closer than a mile away.
Oh yeah, it was
And
tough.
after that fall, I said, I'm not going to. I'd love to go hear him. I'm sure he'll have enough people. Frequently I go to help be part of a crowd. Come on, Bill. Come on, Sally. Let's go. Now we've got an extra 3 or 4 people to build the crowd. He didn't need that. He didn't need me.
Yeah.
No, they were out for him too, but he handled it beautifully.
So the students weren't able to give him a lot of trouble.
he listens, and then he just common sense it back, and he leaves. He says, "Well, I appreciate your opinion." He never shows any disrespect for them. He respects them, but he leaves them with thinking. And as he says a lot himself, he says they have a lot of knowledge and very little wisdom.
Well, that's a talent that too many of us don't have.
Absolutely.
If somebody says something to me, I'm going to argue. I've noticed that with him, heard that story before. He sits, listens, understands where they are, and then responds to it. And that just...
He's painstaking and makes sure he understands what they're saying.
Yeah.
And very often they don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're just babbling.
Well, that's...
Because our colleges are producing people that don't know anything. And what they spend, and here's a guy that never went to college, and he's killing it, and he's just representing what America is all about as well as can be done.
I think somebody told me that he'll say, now repeat that, and they can't repeat it the same way. Is that true?
Absolutely. He asks questions that point out that they don't really know what they're talking about. They're throwing out some line they've heard somewhere.
Yeah.
And he doesn't beat him up over it. He just says, "Let me make sure I understand this. You're saying this and this." And he can point to history that contradicts what they're saying.
Yeah. And Rob McCoy of Godspeak works very closely with Charlie Kirk. In fact, he's his mentor and his pastor. Yeah. They travel a lot together and have done for years.
Rob McCoy was, is that the son or the father?
The father.
The father.
The father was a pastor of a large church in Camarillo, I think, and he, in fact, was the Republican candidate for Senate 12 years ago.
Church is in Newbury Park or something, but it's in that area.
He didn't mince words. He didn't hide his religion. He didn't hide that he was a pastor, and he did as well or better than any of our candidates have done in a district that's so overwhelmingly left. But I heard that he correct me if I'm asking this wrong, he was the pastor in our area who refused to close his church for COVID.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And he was fined.
$3,000 a day there.
Was he arrested?
I don't think so, no. And there's about 500, his congregation is about 500. And they were trying to scare everybody, trying to enforce
He has 3
wearing
services
masks.
that are all 500 each.
Yeah.
In fact, he would not let anyone in the church that was wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's. I was saddened by the churches that closed at a time when the flock needed that support more than ever.
Yeah.
And we found out afterwards that much of it was phony. Yeah, I only know one person, and I may have mentioned him earlier, Greg Gangrew, got the symptoms of COVID. He lived in Ventura, he went to the hospital. They brought him to Santa Barbara. They put him in a 2-week coma. He was in the hospital for 40 days, lost 80 pounds. He had COVID, the real COVID that maybe only 1 in 100 get, and but that's why the fear rose, when that 1 in 100 scared the hell out of everybody else.
COVID was a big wake-up call for the parents. The kids got they isolated and all the problems, but it woke up the parents to realize they got to get involved.
Yeah.
Because they through COVID and watching what their kids were being taught, said, "Wow, we got to get involved here."
In Turning Point, the concern is for the youth. One of the problems, and I don't know if the gap is, something that Turning Point fills, but we lost 2 years of education, mainly for poor and immigrant children, because they couldn't do that home stuff that the elite did. They couldn't do it on the internet, and you know, on Zoom, and so they opted out. And are you seeing in your work any gap there in age?
Age of the people that are getting involved, you mean?
No, a gap in the youth in their education and age and in their social.
They're being made of things a little earlier because they're struggling. When I had my Gift of Hope thing, we wanted to get kids before they were in junior high. Yeah. Because they haven't gotten completely addicted to the phone, and the pressures that go with being, you know, hormones are kicking in and everything, and now their hormones kick in and they're talking about having sex change. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the phone isn't the devil's instrument.
Mm-hmm. Can be.
I have a friend who's a writer locally, Robert Ehringer, and he decided to go find the devil, and he ended up in Los Gatos, or the Facebook headquarters, and he went in and there was nobody there. You had to go through kiosks, mm-hmm. and there was no human being in Facebook. And he said, that I knew was the devil.
Yeah, it is. The history of all the tech industries and what's going on is pretty spooky. But I would say anybody that's listening tonight, you can just go to turningpointusa.com and you can watch Charlie Kirk. He's on a couple times a week. He has his own station channel on Rumble, and it's eye-opening. And
so you're part of the planting of small groups in high schools, junior highs?
Junior high and high school, so that's where we're starting to get the chapters. And we're connecting with the California Parents Union real quickly, and they have thousands of members of the California Parents Union that are now getting involved with Turning Point.
Yeah.
It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Because they got chapters all over, 2,000 in California, people that have signed up, and now we're putting them with a territory where the Turning Point TPUSA rep in that area can hook up with them, and they go after getting in all the schools.
In your interfacing, how far from Santa Barbara have you been in contact with other people in Turning Point and in what you're doing?
Well, most of it's been local meetings. You know, we've been having local meetings, and Wade is the rep, the TPUSA rep for this area. Wade Brox.
Yeah, well, we've put his name up.
Yeah, so Wade is the one that's going to be working with Hillsdale and getting that set up for this area, for the Santa Barbara area, and so we're really supporting Wade. Mm-hmm.
So are you going to be offering Hillsdale's curricula in different areas? Like they have a great constitutional course. Are you going to be offering that? Is Wade going to be offering that for free to high schools? And
oh yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what was missing, was the curriculum. And why reinvent the wheel when Hillsdale have done such a great job of creating a curriculum that can be adapted to any school, all schools. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Hillsdale is a blessing too, but hearing that their influence, which isn't really trying to influence, they're providing curriculum to any high school, any elementary or junior high.
People homeschooling, they have programs.
Yeah.
So and they're wonderful people to work with.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah, and that's being encouraged right now by Trump himself. He's giving the incentive for parents to homeschool their children, while the public education system is cleaned up, and it might take a while because there's been so much damage done.
Well, it's sad that, it's hard to not be critical of the public education system. In fact, we have to be, but people forget that over 10% of the children are homeschooled. Another 10 to 20% are in some parochial school, whether it's Catholic or Protestant, and the other 70% are left with this public school system that the curriculum is being dictated by somebody.
Oh, the test scores are going down. They've just lowered the standards, so
Yeah.
it doesn't show quite as bad as it is.
Yeah.
But these kids aren't earning anything. It's kind of tough. And the Department of Education from the federal government, they're trying to take that out now and get them out. This is a local issue. We don't need the federal government. And that's a big deal.
Every Republican, and I think even one Democrat president in the last 40 years has wanted to undo Jimmy Carter's Department of Education, because you were just pointing out, the education has to be local.
Well, the teachers union, if you follow the money they have, they got people working them for $500,000 a year and don't do any much, and they're bringing in all these counselors and these people that are teaching race, race and sex. It's crazy. It's the government at its worst. We got to get the government out and get the people involved. And
Yeah.
the kids are the future of our country.
Absolutely, and what's happening is confusion being Satan's domain. You know, these children are confused. They're confused about their sexuality. You know, they're confused about why they're at school with what's being taught right now. And so, I can't speak highly enough about Charlie and what he's doing.
Well, I think at the turning point, a great young swimmer, blonde gal, who was defeated by a man to win the gold medal in Pennsylvania swimming. She was the keynote speaker, wasn't she? Yeah. And the issue of anything the left, the crazies, can do to confuse us. The issue of, you can choose your sex. It's a boy should be able to go into the female locker room, and
All that stuff is waking people up. I mean, you'd have to be pretty.
yeah, it's backfired.
It's backfiring and exposing them. So I think it's a blessing in disguise that this is happening.
I always imaged and thought how wonderful it'd be if one of these guys who thought they should go into the girls' locker room was treated like like men treat men in the locker room, and the girl took a towel and his genitals.
There's a lot.
Who knows what happens? Yeah. But more than anything, we need God back in this country. With the people, and in the schools.
Yeah. Well, all children, and I think males more, have some concern and confusion about their sexuality. I can remember when I was young, not wanting to, I'm playing football, and I would stay out, play longer, so I was the only person in the shower, because I didn't want to be in a shower with naked guys, and playing football. And of course, I was a very confused young man forever, but that kind of...
Well, the porn industry is just capitalizing on this stuff too. These kids, how many of these kids are looking at that kind of stuff, which just throws fuel on the fire of what I'm really meant to be and what I want to do.
Yeah, the issue of porn, we went through a real crisis period, and I guess it's back on the internet, but I can remember when it happened to me. We had a bill in the state Senate complying with the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on porn, and packages would come in brown paper wrappers, and the state senator, Bob Lagomarsino, said, "Girls, don't open that, give it to Jim." And I became addicted to porn because I was reading it every day. And later, they began to tell churches and activists, the men don't go and check the magazines and check everything. Let the wives and women go and check if porn's being sold in a store, because the men can't handle it. You know, it's a biological problem. I think we like,
That's a different deal.
You notice that I catch myself and stop. So you're new to this. About a year and a half that Charlie Kirk was here. And you're wanting to bring him back.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been talking with Bobby. We've been speaking with Bobby and
Bobby McGinnis. Give her the credit.
And looking for the perfect venue, because we'd like to invite a lot of people, 2,000 at least.
Yeah. I was driving up Milpa Street today and turning on to whatever it is, Cross Street, Anapamu, and I thought, would the Bowl be a good place for a rally like we're thinking about?
Maybe.
And what would it cost? Or under their contract, do they have to give it free to non-profits?
That might be worth it.
I thought that might be worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Because it's the kind of venue that not only would Charlie do great in, but you could have a religious music and you could have other speakers. And so that's one I was thinking about. The other is the pavilion at Earl Warren Showgrounds. You know, I was in my youth the director there, and that pavilion.
I had my company conventions every year when I had my company.
Well, the Orchid Show, for people who don't know what we're talking about, the trade show, and your company was there.
Well, we had all our manufacturers. I owned all around landscape supply, and we just represented a lot of products. So we had a big show there every year.
Now, please, you can deny what I'm going to say, and you should. I told you before the show, if I say something crazy, to come right out and say, Jim, you're crazy. So far, I've had all these crazy ideas, and you haven't disagreed. Come on.
Because you're good crazy, Jim.
So
crazy with a smile.
How I've taught in salesmanship and politics, you can say anything if you smile.
That's what I meant. We need more of that in the world.
I'm going to kick your ass. Excuse my language.
It's okay.
So what is the timing on finding a venue, finding a date, fitting it, you got a whole procedure to do, fitting it into his calendar? In the events I've done like that, the first thing you start with is the calendar. When can you get him? Because once you get him, people will work like heck to get a place.
That's a good tip. We just
fund the advertising, and
we just realized through the holidays, we just said let everybody, because they had their big convention in Arizona. So we just decided to take this time off, and after the first year, we're going to be back at it, looking at it, and I think that's a good call. Make sure you get the right order. If you get a great building and he's not available, what do you got?
You start with when is the star coming, always.
And the amount of people, because we would anticipate a couple of thousand at least.
You're working with groups outside of this county. Would you try and tie in, Charlie, if you come on this date, we can get you at Cal Poly,
when we're going through the planning stage, but right now we're looking about when are they available, and what can we do, and then we'll go out those other avenues to make sure we get as many people as possible.
Yeah, I would find with people like him that sometimes, and you may want to ask this question, sometimes they're more available if you can offer them the probability of 2 days, instead of,
Well,
okay.
talk to these people and find out what works best for him,
Yeah.
what his ideal would be, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's right. I don't need to teach him or you. He's done it a lot.
Yeah, but we're thinking 3 to 6 months.
So you're looking, getting a date, and then anything from the Granada Theater to the Pavilion at UCSB.
Or the Arlington, 1,776 seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now County Bowl.
Yeah.
So, so the next thing is find us a date, and that's up to the demand on them and scheduling. Do you have any idea when they might give you some alternative dates?
No, I'm not making excuses, but the holiday and their big convention, they've been pretty.
Yeah.
That just ended on the 22nd.
Did either one of you go to Arizona?
No.
I followed it. You could follow it. Everything was on all day long. You could watch it without going.
Yeah.
And it was tough, and the rooms were, 1,000 a night or something. It was crazy. So.
I don't know if he was the keynote speaker, but a big speaker there was the guy with the little piece missing out of his ear.
Oh yeah, Trump. Yeah.
Don Trump.
Oh, they Tucker Carlson and
Yeah.
Ben Carson, all kind. I mean, they didn't miss much.
Yeah.
And Trump spent a lot of time there too. So that's a great outfit to be identified with, and I think that it's all about timing. And what I tell people is, well, we all have to find we can bring something to the table.
Yeah.
And then pick a strength of something you can help out, but get involved. Because we are where we are because we didn't pay attention.
Well, I think you can tell Charlie that if he gives us a date, there'll be a mass of people who just met him at his last time here that will be volunteering, helping. It'll grow like a snowball.
I think Wade, who is our rep here, will get to convey that message, and we'll see how he wants us to work with Charlie on that. And he was going to come back from the convention with some key contacts that we can move forward on what we're doing.
Now, Wade is located in Santa Barbara.
No, he's up in Fresno area.
Oh.
And he comes down here.
We can forgive him for that.
Yeah.
No,
he's pretty. He's very available about being here. Before him, we had Justin Charles, and he lived down in Simi Valley somewhere. But they have good reps all over, and they give him support. And
so he covers Santa Barbara County, and
pretty much we're getting those territories defined because through the Parents Union, we're getting the people in each of their areas to sign up with them so they can put them to work right away.
yeah.
So we're fine tuning this thing because it used to be each county kind of did it on their own, and
Really building an organization.
yeah, and get the timing is right, and people are ready to listen.
Yeah.
And
So-
there are no accidents in God's world. We gotta.
Yeah.
What can we learn from this and make it work for us? And that's what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Well, with the voices for the children. And Charlie's given us, that mission to go out and let as many people know as we possibly can. Bring the awareness to the people of what's happening in the schools.
Give me 3 tenets of Turning Point. 3 things that it's aiming at.
Well, it's educating saving our kids from what they're being taught. It's number one. And
When you're talking about youth, you're talking about junior high, high school, and college.
realizing if these kids there's no future the way we're going, the way of socialism, and if you study that, take over the kids, take over the media, and then you got a country. And we got to wake people up to that. And I think, as I've said a number of times, what's happening today is working in our favor. People are becoming more aware of it. And I go out and speak to as many groups as I can. and the response has gotten better and better. They're becoming more and more aware of it.
Well, I ask a question of people who are doing what you're doing and you're doing. Do you like Fox?
Love Fox.
Fox News?
Uh-huh.
They, I was pointing out at Bible study that they have their Fox platform, and now a segment, and it doesn't say how much it is, but I have a feeling it's many hours. It's Fox Faith on the platform. So
I'm a big fan of Tucker Carlson. I think he's fabulous. I followed him at Fox, and he's got a following now. He's one of the real voices out in the world today.
yeah, Tucker spoke at Arizona.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Everybody, there was anybody spoke in Arizona.
yeah.
That lineup was unbelievable.
Tucker had kind of been doing his own thing. He wasn't out going to all the Trump rallies or all the rallies, and he spoke there.
He's got a following that's pretty incredible.
The guy we have to figure out how to get involved, and I think maybe the only way is through prayer, is Elon Musk.
He's getting involved, I think.
Yeah, he
And he has the wherewithal and everything to make stuff happen. They're going to come in and clean the government up right away. Elon and Vivek are going to, I mean, some of these people, jobs, they don't go to work, they don't work. I mean, we got billions and billions of dollars.
Okay, which is better for them, being at home not working or being in the office not working?
I don't think they do crap either way, I'm sorry. They can probably get away with sleeping and screwing off more at home, I don't know.
A lot of people don't realize how many government buildings right now are sitting vacant.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And they say, well, if everybody is dispersed, for instance, FBI headquarters, everybody is going to the 10 regional headquarters and then down to the city level of FBI where they're fighting crime. What are we going to do with the buildings? I said, do you remember the Caesar's Palace? Do you remember what they did in Las Vegas when a building was no longer needed? It becomes a parking lot. And I said,
In Vegas,
yeah, we might as well make a lot of government buildings into parking lots that can't do any damage.
Well, I think Elon and Vivek are going to clean up a lot of this stuff, and they have the wherewithal and the experience to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of what's going on in the country right now. We have a chance.
A feeder to the Trump organization, like Yvette, it's a strange situation for Christians and conservatives to realize how many of the Trumpites, like Yvette, came out of the Gutfeld show. Iconoclastic, no God, just jokes. And
Gutfeld.
maybe having a baby at 60, you just have a baby, maybe that'll bring him down to religion, But it's amazing that somebody gets appointed to a Trump cabinet or something. They were on his show last month.
His cabinet selections are unbelievable. The director of intelligence, the FBI has been a joke for a while. Department of Justice. We're going to clean those up, and he's got great nominees for it. And I think he's going to hit the ground running pretty hard.
Again, somebody I first saw in Gutfeld, and they are not talking a different story than they did on Gutfeld. Maybe less humor in it, but they were talking about how bad, FBI guy,
He's horrible. He's horrible. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah.
Mayorkas, I can't remember.
Anyway, he was talking about the things that need to be done in the FBI back then, a year and a half ago. It's Trump's speed is reducing a decade to 2 years. It's just really moving quickly. And on Turning Point, how can we help locally? What can we do? Do we contact you?
Contact me. I've given a card here, I think. It doesn't say Turning Point, it's a gift of hope. It's how you can get a hold of me.
I think Mike has been, it looks like it says, even has the email. Yeah.
Yep,
So
there you go. So you can
Yeah.
sign up.
he
That's,
does a good job, Mike.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
very,
he
thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wade is really the person to contact, because they're creating chapters.
See, now he did it bigger because you said something nice to him and put your name there.
Thank you,
You,
Mike.
you know how to butter the bread.
Yeah, Bob's very much dialed in with Wade.
So I guess our goal is to find a time when we can have a rally to bring people who love Turning Point, love Charlie Kirk, with their friends and guests who
Yeah,
don't know
get the-
anything
right.
about Turning Point or Charlie Kirk.
Because we have a group that we meet every week. Karen's part of it, Christy Lozano's part of it, Wade's part of it,
Bobby McGinnis.
Bobby McGinnis. We all meet once a week and keep moving forward.
You guys are all
Yeah.
meeting once a week?
Well, it hasn't been for
No,
a while.
during the holidays we stop.
Yeah,
we're-
but
we're-
before that, it always happens. I didn't get my invitation.
No.
Poor,
Well,
poor Jim.
Poor
My
baby.
my daughter says, "Would you quit playing the poor boy? It didn't work when you were 30, and it isn't working now." I said, "But it feels good." So you're going to be back meeting, and of course, like most groups like this, you meet in secret and don't want anyone else to come.
No, but we have a good, strong group.
yeah.
And Wade comes every week for it, or we were doing it every week for a while. And we have Christy there, and we have a good group of people all reporting how they're getting out in the community to spread the word. And that's kind of like a grassroots movement.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a group that can reach out to other people, so you don't have
That's
to
part
have,
of what we're doing.
You don't have to have 50 people come. You have a key
Yeah.
10 who know 5. and
Absolutely.
the
It's a
people-
grassroots
Grassroots. Yeah.
marketing program, you
Yeah.
know, just go.
the people you're talking about are oriented to, group growth and reaching out to other
We have
people.
a flyer, I think he put it up there, of what we're doing with Turning Point and TPUSA and the Parents Union.
Yeah.
And
Well, we're going to have you back because I want to have time talking about the Parents Union. Now
Tracy Henderson, who started it, and I talked to her today. She said, "You'd be happy to come down."
Yeah, that's Turning Point and the Parents Union are both statewide organizations, but they're grassroots. They're not top down.
No,
they're
grassroots.
bottom up. And
She's won a lot of Tracy's won a lot of lawsuits against school boards.
yeah,
She's been powerful there, and they've got 2,000 members in California signed up. They pay $25 a year, and they're waving the flag. We want to get involved.
yeah. It's I have a friend that is very active in politics, and Steve Franks, and he says the problem with local government is that Republicans have a majority on almost every board, and city council and school board, but they don't know it. They don't know that they have control, or at least they can put programs together. And
We're giving them a way to get involved and to get control.
And it's the same thing with the teachers union. The teachers union is corrupt. There aren't hardly any corrupt teachers. It's
I know, and what they pay into that thing, and where you follow the money, all these special people that give them money. It's follow the money. It's rough.
well, and what they do with the money
Yeah.
is corrupt the elective system.
Yep.
Who's going to get elected? We got
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Well, Chris-
What would you like to tell the folks?
Thank you for showing up and give us support, sign up, and the information's there. And please do your part. We all need to do a part. This is a movement. We sat around too long not doing anything and not paying attention.
So you're not afraid of somebody coming in and taking your job away?
No.
How about you?
Yeah, I echo what Bob says, and it's all about the children. It really is, because they're the future generations of what's going to shape the future of America.
That's funny, because for years in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the left used the slogan, "It's all about the children." And then we realized it is all about the children and about parenting and community.
That's how you lose your country, when your kids are,
Yeah.
Well, that was all by design,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
So,
Yeah.
so how and when will we hear next about Charlie Kirk and?
We'll keep you updated and maybe come back on your show.
Oh,
Be happy
great.
to do that.
Yeah. Are
In
you
the next
gonna-
couple of weeks, a lot of stuff's going to be happening, so we'll come back for an update show sometime.
Yeah. Are you going to be one of those guests that says when the show's over, we could have gone another hour? We could have gone another
Yeah.
hour. Yeah. We just scratched the surface of even Turning Point. And you talk about the Parents Union, and there's so much afoot.
That's what I love about this, the energy and the enthusiasm. We're all doing something good for the world, making the world a better place. Yeah.
Amen. We've put up your contact information. You want people to call you?
Absolutely.
You're going to
Yeah.
answer the phone?
Yes. Yeah.
And now nobody will call.
Yeah,
But-
we invite people to contact us, and then we'll put them in. We'll probably direct them to Wade, and if they want to help with creating chapters in the high schools and junior high schools. It's very recent, actually. The Turning Point have gone into the junior high schools.
They only got to get
It's only-
three kids with their parents, or three parents, and they can start a chapter, and the schools can't stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can teach about the country, and they teach them how to vote, what's going on, how to be responsible citizens that believe that they're in a great country.
Yeah, and community colleges too.
Yeah. I will gently talk to our pastor that is the head of the League of Christian Athletes, who's got chapters in every high school, every
they are. That's a
elementary
great group.
school,
That's a great
meet
group.
once a week. It seems like maybe there's
like
a
coordinate-
what's it called, synergism?
Syncrasy, I don't know.
Not sin, synergism.
Synergy.
It's the synergy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.